All right, so I got some good news. We did switch over to the 50/50 clear coat. So you guys know in the last video we were spraying the 50/50. Well, for the last week now, I've really liked the way that clear sprays. And a lot of you guys were saying about the orange peel that it has to match the factory peel. I'm gonna show you guys in this video that we're gonna match the factory peel, as well as give you guys some pro tips on how to leave a nice edge inside the jam. All right, so this here is the vehicle we're gonna be shooting. This here is an X6 BMW. And you guys see here we had some damage. When this car got hit, it hit the top edge of the fender as well as the posts. So a lot of shops would just smoke this in. But you guys see here, we have the doors off the vehicle as well as the glass out of the quarter and the fuel pocket out. So this is gonna give you a nice edge on the repair. And I'm gonna show you a trick once we get done with it that you have to do. That way you can get a seamless edge on the inside here when you're done painting it. All right, so these are the parts that we're gonna be doing. We have two fenders off the vehicle. That way we can get the paint wrapped around the edge of the fenders and not blow anything on the inside, as well as a new front cover. And then we're doing a little bit of customer pay on this one, that they wanted to clean up the rear cover and do one other side of the fender on this one. So in order to do the job right, you guys know we like to pull things apart. That way you don't blow overspray in. And also, if you guys know, on these, BMW has a gasket that sits tight up to the actual sail panel on these. So the only way to really do it right is to pull the doors off the vehicle. And I'll show you guys what I mean on that now. All right, so you see here on these, this rubber butts up tight, but there's a little body line on this actual pillar here that goes in a little bit further that you're gonna wanna go to. So in order to do that, a lot of times guys will tape this tight, but it'll never be perfectly straight because the tape doesn't really conform to this right. So the best bet we've had was to just go ahead and pull the doors off. That way you can get a nice clean edge on the inside here and you get a nicer job. All right, so we're gonna go ahead now and wrap this one up. So what we did here for the prep, because this is gonna be just clear coat on this end of the quarter panel, we prepped it out with the 800 and the SkyPad. So you guys see here that we covered it up before we sanded it. Even though we do have the vacuum sander, you do wanna cover the inside of the vehicle up to keep it as clean as possible. And the detail guy will love you for that, my man Roger. He's always wondering whether we cover up the vehicle. So what we're gonna do here is, you guys see, we've taped it into here and we're gonna bag this again, but once we get this taped, we're gonna take it right to this edge because there's a little bit of a body line right on that. That's where we're gonna lose it. So let's go ahead, get this thing wrapped up and get into the job, and then we'll show you at the end of the job the one trick that's gonna give you a flawless jam line. And I think you guys will really use this, whether you're in the business or doing something at home. This is gonna help you out. All right, so we've got our bag on everything. We prepped out our normal blend panels with the 800 and the SkyPad. We did K600 on our new bumper, and then we did 400 on our primer and 600 on anything that we're gonna fully paint, like that rear lower valance. So now that we've got everything taped up, we're gonna go ahead and do our final tape along the edge of this and the edge of this. And then we're gonna go ahead and clean it and move into our sealers and our base coats. And then I'm gonna explain to you guys a little bit about the orange peel with the guns, the products you're using, and different settings. That way you can achieve whatever kind of texture you're looking for, whether you're looking for a slick finish, because if you remember in this video here, I showed you guys that fender on the BMW before we sanded it. These do not have a tight knit texture. They're more of a slick with a bigger orange peel in it. So you have to put it on a certain way in order to get that finish. And each job will be different because you have different manufacturers which all spray their cars differently. So let's get into cleaning this one up and moving into the refinish part. All right, so we've got our sealer on there. You guys see we put the sealer on, but I wanted to show you guys something real quick. I had some of you guys ask me what kind of spray out cards I use. I use the metal and I also use the paper. So the reason I use the paper is when I'm checking for coverage, I like to have my shades of the different color sealers on here. That way I can check my color and see what ground coat it will like. Also to see what amount of coverage it's gonna take to get coverage on that color when you have a transparent one. So when I'm trying to make a spray out card for color match, I'm gonna use my metal panels. That way I have these and they'll last a lot longer. And they want you to use metal when you're making a spray out card for the color match. That way it's the same as it would be on the panel, being that the car is metal. So use these if you have them. I like the way they do the different transitions of sealers. That way you can check, because a lot of times the sealer will change the color drastically, especially if you don't have enough coats on it. So make sure you check that and then do your metal ones, because these will last you a lot longer. Once you label them, you can have these for many years without having to worry about them getting damaged. So let's go ahead and get some base on that one. All right, so you guys see we have all the base coat on there and all our wet bed areas are treated as well. So you guys seen that I was spraying that card. That way I could check for my coverage. So that's one way that I like to use my spray out cards, is use the one with the different shades of sealer. So that way you can see how many coats it's gonna take for coverage. This one took 3 coats for coverage and we did a control coat on it. So now that we got our base coat on, let's go ahead and talk about the clear coat. So each clear coat is gonna be different on how you're gonna have to spray the product. So if you have a speed clear, a lot of these newer clears are designed to go back-to-back coats, because once that first coat starts to set up, they don't want you to introduce the second coat, because what it almost does is aggravate the clear coat, because they want all that clear on at one time. That way they has the build to lay down flatter, and then it dries all out of the first coat into the second coat all at one time without trapping any of the solvents into the clear coat. So this clear here that we're spraying today is the 50/50. You guys know I told you last time that this is a production Glamour clear. What that means is it does set up quick, but it also has the Glamour look. So you want to find a window, being that you're spraying in whatever climate you're in is going to be different from what I'm in. So At this time of the year, it's about 75 degrees here in Florida, so that's a prime temperature to spray clear coat in. So with that being said, now that I'm testing this clear out for the last week, I've been hitting it a little bit sooner because I see it acts nicer when you go in a little bit sooner than the normal recommended 10 to 15 minutes in between flash. So I'm hitting this one at about 5 minutes in between flash, and it's giving it a nice OEM look. It's letting everything come out of it all at one time and have a nice lay once the clear coat dries without any problem. So one big thing you're gonna have to realize is when you're spraying your clear, you have to figure out what kind of clear you have. Do you have a medium solid clear? Do you have a high solid clear? And then once you figure that out, you have to get a gun that works well with that product. So me being I'm using a very high solid clear, I like a gun that really breaks up my clear and atomizes it very well. I do not like some of the faster guns that put down a bigger droplet, because to me, I want to put down a thin flat coat, and that's one of the reasons that when I tried out the Luma gun, I really like this gun, because it puts down a thin flat coat. Even though it's got a 1.5, the way they designed this gun, it still lays down a very flat coat. So when you're spraying your clear, the distance, the fan, the settings, the air pressure, and all those things that you're doing are gonna make the way that that job is gonna look. So with me, I like to leave my gun set the way that it is, and I'll speed up the way that I put the clear on for my peel, or I'll slow down, or I'll come in sooner on my flash time. I keep my gun set at the same amount of fluid and the same amount of fan with the same air pressure, and I'll move faster or I'll come back. Let's go ahead. We're gonna be using this Luma gun with the 1.5 in it. I'm gonna show you guys what I'm talking about on how nice a gun will break up a clear coat just by the way that you put it on. And you're still gonna have the texture that we need in this job. You guys seen it had a nice flat finish, but it did have a little bit of a peel, but it's a bigger peel. So let's go ahead and clear this one. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and let that set up for about 5 minutes, starting off at the first part, and we're gonna go in there and hit it with coat 2, and I'll show you guys it all finished up. The last pro tip I'm gonna give you in this video is now, while your paint is still soft, we just cleared this, it's set up for about 10 minutes. You wanna take this tape and go ahead and pull it off before this sets up. That way your edge is gonna lay down real nice and beautiful. So if you don't pull this right away, you're gonna end up having that clear build up on the edge because it's gonna dry up to the tape line. So now with you peeling that, it's gonna let that lay down. And you guys see we had it masked off in here. That way once we pull this, this is still sealed up. Same thing here on this. Go ahead and pull your edge off. And that's gonna just lay down now, nice and flat, and you're not gonna have any edge because it's gonna melt right in, being you pulled it while it was still wet. So remember, pull your tape while the clear's still wet and get consistency with your clear in your gun, and that's gonna give you the factory OE look that you need for each job, because you're gonna know which way to spray that clear. And we gave that one about 5 minutes, and you guys see it looked really nice with the factory texture that it needed for the BMW. So I hope you guys liked it. Give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys on the next one.